Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate breakdown for August 18th. Guys, we are here. We're making it to the end of August. Football is almost here, but we are going to be talking some MLB today. I think it's going to be an interesting slate. Eddie, thank you for tuning in. Always appreciate it. How are you doing today? How was your weekend? All that good stuff. We have a crazy slate to go over. Before we get into it, come join us at LineStar. It is only $39.99 per month, and it gets you access to all we do, the props, the DFS, the best ball. You get it all, one low price. Juan, thank you for showing up. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a good day. And hope you had a great weekend. Now, let's jump into this slate a little bit. As always, we're going to go over the perfect lineups first. Then we will jump into the winning lineups from yesterday before we head on over to today's slate. The pitchers to consider, the stacks to consider. We'll cover it all. And always, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Eddie almost took down a WNBA slate. Well, good job getting to the top. Sorry you didn't, take it down. But hey, we're back for another week to make some money. So, and oh, nice. You got an MLB into the semis. I have 3 in the semis, and they're looking pretty good. I think this MLB week is going to be pretty interesting. There's a lot of 2-start pitchers, and then I know Yankees and I believe Dodgers both have 7 games, and Dodgers start in Colorado. So Dodgers, unfortunately, sore subject for me, but they also may be the team you need this first week to get you, to the top of the leaderboards in those best balls. All right, let's get over to the perfect lineups from yesterday and see how these shakes out. So on DraftKings, we had Andrew Abbott, Dean Kramer as the 2 pitchers in the perfect lineup. Then we had a 2-man Texas stack, 2-man Minnesota stack, and some one-offs. Didn't use close to all the salary. 245.7 was the lineup score. Sorry, I should have zoomed in on that a little bit better so all of you guys could have seen it a little better. I will do that next for FanDuel. So the winning score went to Scout 326. They had Takedown. They had Abbott and Crochet. Crochet was hard to get away from yesterday. It was 60% owned, but just projected so much better than everybody else. It was hard to come off. And he still did enough to get the winning lineup. So we had a 5-man Texas stack, a one-off of Westberg, Sanchez, and Abreu. So congrats to Scout. 198.1 took it down. And then on FanDuel, the perfect lineup did go to Dean Kramer. Then 2-man Texas, 2-man Minnesota, and all one-offs after that with 31.8 salary used and 313.3. With the winning lineup going to TCYRS, who had Bybee. They had a 2-man Mets, 2-man Cleveland, 2-man Atlanta, and 2-man Arizona. So the old 2-2-2-2, which doesn't happen often, but it did yesterday. So congrats to them. They won. And let's get over to some picks for today. See what we got. Will Shohei Ohtani hit a home run today? There's a very good chance that he is. It's in Colorado. Temps are decent. Winds are blowing out. A lot of good things in his favor. He very well could go yard. Now, let's get over to DraftKings. And our highest owned pitcher, we got Yamamoto at 9,400 in Colorado. Now, 9,400 I think is too cheap for him, but it's in Colorado, so I have a hard time getting there. And I just got to throw this out. I don't know if he ends up as the highest owned pitcher on this slate. right now, he definitely looks like he could be. But Yamamoto, what do we got here? He's been great all season, 2.7 ERA for this season with 3.10 FIP, 3.1 FIP over his last 20, 2.3 over the last 5, K rate right around that 28.9% over both the last 20 starts and the last 5. StatCast data is great. I think it's very important to show that he has 45% ground balls, or almost 45% ground balls over the last couple weeks. And in Colorado with decent hitting weather, it's something that definitely is important, as you don't want that ball to get elevated. Now, Colorado Rockies have been hitting decently, but Yamamoto is an absolute stud. Don't love the Colorado spot outside of the fact that they're in Colorado. All in all, 25.5% combined K rate. I don't mind getting some. I'm not going to go super heavy on him. The one thing I will point out is over the last 2 years, he's actually been decent in Colorado. We don't have a huge track record, but 5 innings, 56 pitches, 6 Ks. Don't totally know why he only went 56 pitches here. I don't know if it was a rain delay or what happened, or if he got banged up, but he was very good. Only allowed 1 hit in 5 innings and had 6 Ks earlier this season. And then last year, 5 innings and 71 pitches, 2 earned runs, and 6 Ks. So that's back-to-back starts in Colorado that he was still decent. So maybe we don't need to, over factor that Colorado aspect in if we want to pick him. He is one of the better pitchers in the game and can absolutely get it done, even in Colorado. Next, we got Robbie Ray, 9,700. 3.37 FIP over his last 20, 4.67 over the last 5. So that K rate over the last 20 is 25%, but over the last 5, it's down to 19. Big issue here is his walk rate, 3.7 per 9 versus 2.8 over the last 20. This has been Ray's issue his whole career. When he is struggling with his command, he starts to let too many guys on base, couple too hard to hit balls happen, and he doesn't come through. Now he's in a very tough spot versus San Diego, who doesn't strike out much, can hit the ball hard, get on base. I think this is a tough spot for Robbie Ray. And personally at 9,700, in a spot where he probably doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, I think it's a very tough spot. It's also, he just saw them last week, went 6 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, and had 4 Ks. I think the under on his Ks may be the way to go, and I really don't like him for DFS, although I do got to show that LineStar definitely likes it. Projection-wise, he's at 21, 2.2x. Consensus at 16.4. I think he's an interesting spot. Easy M, Jackson Merrill, and Manny Machado hits, runs, and RBI. I would prefer Machado. I do have to say Machado has been a little cold. I think he only had 1 hit versus the Dodgers over the week, but I would prefer the righty-lefty versus lefty-lefty in Merrill versus Ray. So I would shy to that Manny side, but I think there's definitely possibilities that the Padres get over on Ray a little bit. However, we still have a game total of only 7.5 here, so it is a low-scoring game in general. I would be wary about going too many overs on this game with that type of total. Next, we got Gomez here, 5.27 FIP over the last 20, 4.53 over the last 5, 23% K rate over that span, 40% hard contact. It's only 10 barreled balls. Batted balls. So it's not a huge sample size here, but he is giving up a little bit too much hard contact here. And it's a decent spot versus Atlanta, who hasn't been great. His first start, he went 89 pitches, 1 earned run, 7 Ks, was very good. But this guy hasn't been great in the minors. So it's not like I want to run to him and put him in a ton of lineups. However, at 5,500, he is a little bit interesting. Braves are hitting the ball hard with the 193 ISO, 334 WOBA, but Gomez at 5,500 is at least interesting. However, I think there's a lot of guys that you can play at a lower salaries today. Next, Spencer Strider, 22% owned versus the White Sox. Look, Strider has not been himself lately. 6.41 FIP over the last 5, 4.86 over the last 20. Now, we know who Strider is and how good he can be. I do not think he's going to go this many starts in a row. 4 starts in a row being as bad as he has been. And now he's versus the White Sox, who really aren't that great of an offense, even though they've played up a little bit over the last, say, month or two. All in all, I'm fine going with some Strider, and I think he's absolutely worthy of taking some risks. I don't love that he is still getting 22% ownership. I hope that will fall throughout the day, but I'm definitely interested in some Strider. Next, we got Nasty Nestor at 6.5K, 23 or 2.3x, 15-point projection. I'm very interested in Cortez in this spot. So, FIP of 5 over the last 20, 7.45 over the last 5. He hasn't been all that great, but he is rounding back into form. 46% fly balls in San Diego in a ballpark that limits the home runs, I think is absolutely fine. It's 23% hard contact. Guys simply aren't hitting him very well. And the opponent splits right now are very, very good versus lefties for Cortez. 219 average, 73 ISO, 266 WOBA, 24% K rate, all very, very good numbers. And over the last 150, the numbers are even better. So I like the spot for Cortez quite a bit. Now, the BVP data is scary. 326 average, 4 home runs, and only 50 plate attempts, 350 ISO, but 40% K rate. So I think we have kind of a boom bust spot here for Cortez, but he is only 6,500. He went 79 pitches last time out, 76 the time before that with the Padres. He will now have his 3rd start with them, and I think he could get up to 80 pitches or so. Over the last 20, he's averaged 79 pitches and 11.7 fantasy points per game. That's with a couple absolutely blow up spots where he gave up 8 runs in 2 innings. And I just don't really expect that to happen. He is a boom bust player, but the ceiling, I think, warrants playing some Nasty Nestor. Now let's get into some pivots. Actually, we need to talk Trevor Rogers. We talked about him last week a little bit, and this dude has just been brilliant. 3.2 FIP over his last 20, 2.36 over his last 5. K rate's not super high. He keeps the ball on the ground, 37% fly balls. Only issue here is the splits. Over the last 20, 293 average, 180 ISO, 365 WOBA. All in all, versus the Red Sox, I am a little interested with Trevor Rogers. We also have mild temps, winds blowing in Fenway today. It's decent. It's definitely decent pitching weather. I think Rogers on this type of slate where there's no clear pay up option that you really, really want to hammer, Rogers looks very, very interesting. Next, let's get to our pivots here. Dustin May, 6,900. All right, 4.65 FIP over his last 20, 4.25 or 23 over the last 5. 22% K rate, getting a lot of ground balls, decent amount of hard contact. But the thing that I am so interested about this is he got traded to Boston, and his pitch mix totally changed. And with that, maybe there is a little bit more upside. Maybe Boston kind of figured out something with him here. And at 6,900, I'm absolutely willing to go back to him and figure out what they have. The other aspect is this Baltimore team really hasn't been hitting that well. So I like the upside at low ownership for Dustin May at 6,900. We'll see if that pitch mix stays different, but it definitely could happen. Next, Michael Wacha, 8,200, 16% owned. Wacha has been dealing lately. He averages 38% more fantasy points at home and has a 2.9 FIP over his last 5, 3.7 over the last 20. K rate's not super high, but he's not priced that high. The issue here is in KC. Very good hitting weather today, 90-degree temps, like 5 to 10 mile an hour winds blowing out, and he gives up 43% fly balls with a lot of barrel balls. So it's a little bit scary in that aspect, but he has been pitching very, very well, and he's definitely a pivot option, I think, on this slate versus Texas team that's been hitting okay, but also not great. Next, I think you got to throw out Zach Gallen there at 2,800 versus Cleveland. He is still a TBD pitcher on MLB probable pitchers. Arizona has TBD. It is expected that it is going to be Gallen. It possibly could not. It's usually these type of vet guys, like we know for sure if they're going. Something may be going on here where Gallen is going to not go today. But if he does go, I am absolutely consider using him. Just he's one of those guys that has a huge ceiling as well as a very low floor. But those situations I'm always interested in for DFS. Now on to FanDuel. High ownership. We got Strider and Yamamoto. Cortez at 7,600 is interesting. Rogers 10.5K is super pricey. But it's a weird slate, and I might have to get a little bit. Also very interested in May and Wacha on this slate with just, not great pitching options up top. I think that's definitely a way we can get a little bit different and pay up for some of those Dodger bats. Now, let's get over some stacks, see what we got here. So our high-owned stacks of the day is no surprise. It is Dodgers versus Kyle Freebaum. Freebaum, 6.82 FIP over his last 5. Behind him is an absolutely awful bullpen. Decent hitting weather in Colorado, and it's Colorado. They're massive favorites, an 11-run implied total. 6.7 is their implied total. It's just super high, way higher than anybody else. It's going to be hard to get away from some Dodgers. Next, our highest projected is Dodgers. Highest value, we got Baltimore versus Dustin May. So I do like Dustin May today. I think there is some sneaky upside, but it's still a guy that has a 3.65 FIP over his last 20. He can absolutely get hit, and I'm fine going there. Wacha gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of hard contact, and nice hitting weather in KC. I think there is some interest in Texas as well. But both situations, I do prefer the pitchers. However, you cannot deny this type of value, and I don't mind having some. Our high ceiling stacks, we got Milwaukee popping up. They just continue to do it. Not totally sure who the pitcher is going to be for the Cubs yet, but we do have some weather to worry about in this game. So make sure you watch that if you want to use any of these stacks. It is, a doubleheader today, and there is weather all day long. So it might really, really be hard to get through 2 games today if they experience any weather issues in this first one. So just understand that before you take them. Our high leverage, we got Boston versus Trevor Rogers. Rogers has been good, but that is, he hasn't been a 3.21 FIP guy his entire career. Baltimore may have found something in him, but he could revert back to his old self easily. I don't love the Boston spot, but it is an interesting one. And our high team totals of the day, 6.7 for the Dodgers. They're going to be hard to get away from. Your 1.8 runs higher than anybody else on the slate. I'm going to have a lot of Dodgers and just try to get different elsewhere. Atlanta 4.9, KC at 4.9. Both are interesting. Don't totally love either, but I'm going to have some. Chicago at 4.6. Remember, there is some weather concerns there. Texas at 4.6. Very interesting with that hitting weather to me. If Colorado and Dodgers fail, then all of these stacks become very interesting. I think Texas and Arizona are two that I'm probably going to have a decent amount of in those games that do not, in those lineups that don't have the Dodgers. Cincinnati 4.5, Cleveland 4.5, Arizona 4.5. If you are not going to use the Dodgers, you can really pretty much use anybody on this slate, as the totals are so similar. And I think there's a ton of different ways you can get different. So on this slate, you're going to have some Dodgers lineups that are probably super high owned. And then after that, you can get real different if you're fading them. I think there's some different ways to go for sure. Texas, I like. Cleveland, I think is going to be interesting. If it's, we'll see who it is, but poor bullpen behind whoever the starter is. And then Cincinnati, there's some nice hitting weather out there, and I don't mind getting some of them against Victor Medros. It's a very interesting spot, or it is actually in LA. I know I said Cincinnati, but decent hitting park there as well, as it plays up to the home run. I think there's a lot of different ways we can go. Ohtani is going to be super chalk. The Dodgers are going to be super chalk, but it's one of those slates where it's very, very hard to get away from. And with pitching ownership, getting spread out a little bit, I think it does make it a little easier to take the Dodgers. I'm going to have some. That's going to do it for us today, guys. I'll be back probably about 11:30 with the prop show, where we're going to go to redeem ourselves from a very tough full send Friday. That's going to do it all, guys. Be back in a little bit. Hope you guys have a good one. Talk to you later. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. It just helps us an absolute ton. Talk to you all later. Peace.